swear, Eddie. I was convicted for the murder of my own brother. I'm gonna set things right. For me and for my family. Did you hear about the weather?
I did.
It's our window. We'll leave tonight.
You passed around
Here we go! Hold on right there!
Everybody stay calm.
Run my head!
Can you send an ambulance?
Start talking! Stop it, man! I'll tell you! Run faster, Leo! Which one do I pull? Relax, Leo. This one!
What is going on, YouTube? This is Jim, back with another video, and today I want to talk to you guys about A Way Out. Now, before we begin, please do me a favor. If you like what you see, throw me a subscription. It would really help me a lot. I'm trying to get back to 1,000 so I can start monetizing my videos, so I can start upgrading some of my tech. It'd be really, really nice to do so again. So if you like what you see, please do me a favor. But if you don't want to, hey, you know what? It's okay. A billion other people haven't, so you're definitely in the majority of not subbing than the minority who has. Also, I will be getting into spoilers, but I'll talk about those later on. I'll put a timer in the bottom corner of the screen when I'm getting close, and then I'll verbally announce, hey, we're going to talk about spoilers now. So fear not, I will not ruin anything of the game for you. I recommend you play this game. I think you would really enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. The nice thing is, when you buy it, whoever owns it, they're like the owner of the game, and any person who really can, believe it or not, EA's done it again. They've struck gold. When you buy a game, you own it. No. They're like the host, and anybody who is a friend of theirs can play with them. So as far as I could tell, you could run a little Ponzi scheme and buy the game and dole it out to your buddies and say, hey, Matt, you want to play with me? $10. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Brent. Hey, blah, blah, blah. And you could actually make money. So maybe I don't need to monetize my videos. I'll just play this infinitely. I don't know. Maybe you could do that. Maybe you can't. I haven't tried. But you don't give a friend code out or anything. Like, it's not like, hey, here is a unique key to you, Matt. It's just, I'm opening the game. You open your free download of the game, and then you pair with me, and then we play together. So, how can I describe this game? It's part walking simulator. It's part mini game. There's shooting. There's driving. There's darts. There's Connect 4. Balancing on a wheelchair. Being idiots. Being guys. Having fun. We had a lot of fun role-playing with it. Vincent, who's the character I played as, much more straight-laced. Leo, who Matt played as, much more of your Italian tough guy. You know, hey, you want a slice? Forget about it. We were having so much fun with the dialogue. I mean, the game's story itself is actually pretty good. There's a couple little hokey parts in there, but I think you really connect with your character. And I think the big distinction here, and if I want to drive anything home in the non-spoiler part of this video, is that it's different than your traditional co-op game. In a traditional co-op game, yes, you have the split screen. We could see each other's screens, that sort of thing. If you're sitting on even like a couch co-op game, it doesn't matter. What this game does is during cutscenes and during dialogue, if you're not sitting next to the person, so Matt was playing at his house, I was playing here, the audio for your section will like brighten up and the other person's will dull out. And that's a really important distinction because the other person can trigger cutscenes, the other person can be doing something in a totally independent, different area from you, but you are kind of doing your own thing. So even though you are playing together, there's always instances of you kind of managing your own time and space. And I think that's a really big distinction. You think of a lot of other couch co-op games where, hey, I want to manage my inventory now. Everybody's got to pause and watch you click around and, you know, select your gear. Or, hey, we're going to talk to an NPC, and everybody runs over, and they're all standing there shoulder to shoulder, listening to the NPC's dialogue. Not like that in this game. You're totally independent, and again, because of being remote, playing remotely, you know, not sitting next to each other, you can enjoy that. And I think that's probably the best way to experience this game. There's going to be a lot of verbal communication that you're going to need to give to your friend as you guys like work through stuff and like, hey, you stand over here, hey, let's try that, whatever. But I think playing the game and getting to really enjoy that experience of that sense of independence really is going to pay off at the end. And I think that you're going to really appreciate the final minutes of the game by playing it that way as opposed to traditional couch co-op. The game runs about 5.5 hours long, over which time you're going to meet a slew of characters. Obviously, one person will be Vincent, one person will be Leo. Each of them can handle problems differently. There are definitely multiple paths to kind of go down in this game in terms of like who is doing this or who is doing that, who goes first. There'll be decision points where the game will freeze and it's like, do you want to do Vincent's way or do you want to do Leo's way? So there's definitely some replayability in here. As far as I know, there's a couple different endings, so there's some replayability in that. But overall, it's a great experience, and I really did enjoy it, and I encourage you guys to check it out. One last thing I'll mention before we jump into the spoiler section. This is one of the most gorgeous games I've ever seen. It runs on, I believe, the Unreal 4 engine. It looks so good. I'm not saying like ultra lifelike, but the attention to detail in the shadows and just all the effects, all the little individual keyboard keys, the flickering of monitors when you walk by, it really, really, really sells that world. And it takes place in the 70s, and it looks and feels like you kind of almost forget you're in a game because it's so realistic. The facial animations, the voice acting, all superb. So I think in that sense, if you're just somebody who likes storied games, you would absolutely love this game. And with that, you'll notice the timer has now reached 0, which means we're going to dive into the spoiler section. So if you have not yet played the game and you don't want to know how it ends, stop it now with my recommendation. For everybody else, you've been warned. We're going to get into the spoiler territory, and I want to go over a little bit of the plot. Remember how earlier I mentioned that you're going to play independently, but at the same time you're going to play together? That matters so much at the end, and that was one of the biggest conflicts that we had. So Vincent and Leo start off in jail. Vincent is thrown in jail because Vincent's brother was killed, and then he was framed by his brother's killer. Leo was thrown in jail because of a drug deal that went bad, and a diamond. They were selling this diamond. This diamond sale went bad, and the guy that he was working with turned on him and shot him, and he was thrown in jail. So both of these guys are thrown into jail. I'm not saying that either one of them is like morally holistic. They're both definitely anti-heroes. There's no doubt about that. But in particular, I think that you really identify with these guys, and they do have a sense of like a redemption arc, like they want to get out. Vincent's wife is pregnant with his daughter. Leo has a younger son, or a son, not a younger son. He has only one son, and his wife. Leo's family seems to be more hardened to the fact that this happens. They're a lot tougher, where Vincent's wife has totally shut him off. She doesn't call him. She doesn't show up in jail. She doesn't talk to him at all. Ultimately, through a series of mini games and puzzles, you ultimately do break out of the jail. And that was really a lot of fun because that's where these characters kind of start to bond. At the beginning, it's pretty clear that Leo wants nothing to do with Vincent, but it's very clear that it's a two-man job to escape. And in a nod to a lot of other famous movies and a lot of other tropes, the Shawshank Redemption, where you're like hitting something in symphony with like thunder so that the guards don't hear anything, or sneaking around, knocking out the towers and like tying the sheets together and shimmying down the side of the building and stuff. A lot of nods to other movies, but it's done really well, and I feel like it's kind of paying tribute to that old buddy cop, like let's get out of jail together friend. The jail heist itself, not really heist, the jail escape itself only lasts maybe the first, third or so of the game, after which Leo goes and checks on his family. That's when you meet his wife and his son, Linda and Alex. They kind of bond a little bit. Vincent's brought in the picture. There's a lot of heartwarming moments in there where you're kind of like, Alex is upset with his father. He doesn't understand why his dad's in jail. And he's trying to tell him, hey, listen, I got to go do something. I got to go get revenge on this guy. This villain, the main villain of the game, his name's Harvey. Harvey's the guy who's really, as it turns out, the center of both Vincent and Leo's problems. So Harvey was the one who shoots, who's Leo's partner, who shoots this like they're doing a drug deal or this diamond deal. He shoots everybody and takes the money on his own. So there's some animosity there. Later on, when you're playing with Vincent, you meet up with his wife, Carol, who just had given birth. She wants nothing to do with you. She's very cold to you, very distant to you. Vincent's motives are that his brother was killed by Harvey, and he wants revenge too. So it turns out, just through dumb fate, that these two guys in cells together both have a common enemy in this guy, Harvey. Both are trying to get revenge, and you'll go to a lot of different locations. When when you sneak out of jail, you'll hit up a farmhouse. You'll go meet with one of Leo's friends to buy some guns and go to a shooting range. You'll go visit Leo's house in the trailer park. You'll go sneak into Vincent's wife's hospital room. All these games always lead up to these grand escapes in which the cops seem kind of like foolish. They kind of always let you get away almost. And I thought at first when I was playing with Matt that, like, this seems almost too easy. Like, the AI is almost like a little too dumb. Like, how convenient we're always getting away. It's like, Three Stooges kind of stuff. Like, the cops just can't seem to catch up with these two. But it does add some tension. The music picks up. There's a scene where you're driving down in a pickup truck and one character's out shooting out the back. There's scenes later where you finally make it to Harvey, and you fly down to get this diamond from Harvey and kill him to get your revenge. It turns out Vincent has an old friend who's a pilot. She flies you down there. You fly down to Mexico to kind of end the game, and that's where the finale takes place. And up until now, the game was very lighthearted. You're playing checkers or Connect Four, and you're doing little fun mini games, and these guys are like bonding. And it isn't until they land that they kind of realize, like, this is it, And they go up against Harvey in this giant, like, mob ring that he has. And there's a long shootout sequence as you fight your way through, kill a bunch of people, ultimately work your way up to Harvey, at which time that you have a choice of who kills Harvey, which is a neat choice. We kind of argued a little bit about that. We decided that it should be Leo. Leo should be the one to actually do it. We felt he had been served the most personal injustice. You kill Harvey, you retrieve the diamond, and seemingly the game's over. They fly back to the United States, at which time they're talking. Vincent writes a letter to his wife because Leo recommends it, and he's like, hey, listen, me and my wife went through a rough patch. Write her a letter, tell her how much you love her, give it to her, try to work this out. You need to be a father for your child. They agree. Vincent agrees, and he writes the letter. So there's a lot of emotional stuff that the characters really connect. I mean, you really see Leo really taking Vincent. Even though I feel like Vincent's kind of the more mature of the two, I feel like kind of Leo kind of like almost becomes the leader at that point, kind of takes him under his wing and like nurtures him and like, listen, I've had family problems too. I've lived a rough life. I've been a gangster my whole life. Like, family comes first, and it's very, very important to Leo that family comes first. So the plane lands, and it turns out that Vincent is an undercover cop. And it shows a flashback to that infamous drug deal that we saw. And it turns out that the buyer of the diamond was none other than Vincent's brother. So Vincent's brother is killed by Harvey. Leo's standing right there and doesn't realize it. So there's a lot of animosity there. Harvey killing Vincent's brother and then shooting Leo, leaving him for dead. Vincent's wife is not mad at him because he got thrown in jail. She's mad at him because he decided to go undercover because the death of his brother affected him so personally. He decided he had to go undercover, requested to be next to Leo's cell, and they formulated this heist together to get back to the diamond to ultimately recover that property and ultimately recapture Leo. So there was kind of like a couple motives there. Really, really shocking scene. And I thought the game was going to be over there. Vincent pulls out his gun. He's like, Leo, you are under arrest. I am a cop. Leo gets away. And it turns into, even though the game's still split screen at this point, Vincent and Leo start fighting. It evolves from fists at first. Then it works into guns. Basically, now, as I said before earlier when I was talking a little bit about how I love the game that you were kind of like on your own but playing together, it's now very clear it's every man for himself. And while we're playing, Matt, who I was playing with in real life, he's talking to me and he's like, we were both conflicted about this. It was kind of hard. I was like, man, I really don't want to shoot you, but I feel like you're going to shoot me. I have to shoot you. There's animosity there, not really animosity so much between him and I, but we were conflicted, and I think it's because of the way that this game worked that I suddenly felt like Vincent had to live. Vincent has to be the survivor here, And in my head, I'm like, man, he's got a kid, he's got a wife, he's a cop, he's doing the right thing. Equally, I could, chatting with Matt, he's like, but Leo, man, he was betrayed, he put his neck out there. He was betrayed by a cop. He wants to get his revenge. You know, and you really have this, between you and the other human player, you really have this kind of animosity. And there's a lot of little mini games that I was talking about earlier that lead up to some of these battles where it's like, as you're fighting, you both have to tap. In this computer version, it's E. I'm sure it's like a trigger button on a controller or a left mouse button or something. But you're tapping it as fast as you can, and you're trying to fill a meter before somebody else to like punch them or to knock them out. And it's like, now I'm fighting with you. Not seconds, but earlier in the game we were teammates, and now it's like kind of every man for himself. And it was really a really neat experience. I can't really think of any game that turned us so fast on each other. I would say maybe The Division came close with the Darkness Zone, but I didn't really feel that invested in my character as in The Division as I did with Vincent, because now Vincent was my guy and I wanted to see him win, just like Leo was Matt's guy and he wanted to see him win. Ultimately, at the very end, it comes down to yet another mini game where they're both beaten and bloodied, and there's a machine gun it kind of is like laying far away, and they both kind of punch each other and fall down. They both look at the gun, and they're crawling on their hands and knees trying to get over to the gun. And they each have an opportunity. You know, it's a mini game. Whoever gets to it first, this is it. And Matt won. I was trying my damnedest. I was hitting E as fast as I could, but Matt, superior gamer to me, I guess. He got the gun, and depending on who wins, the winner will shoot and kill the loser. Now, if Vincent is the victor, Leo will just hold his hand out, and there's this moment where they both hold hands, look each other in the eyes, and Leo dies. If Leo is the victor, Vincent will hand Leo the note and say, "Please give this to my wife," and he dies. Either way, you watch the funeral of the loser. You know, the winner will go to the loser's funeral. And it's really heartbreaking. Either way you see it. You know, Vincent, if he is the winner, he's conflicted. You see him go back to Linda and Alex's trailer and tell them that Leo's gone. You could see the music fades out. The voices fake out and you just hear music. You can only imagine what he's telling her. She screams at him to get out. Alex starts crying, "What happened to my dad?" And Vincent walks away. At the end of Vincent's storyline, he appears at home. His wife has kicked him out at this point, and he shows her the letter that he's written. And in this version, the letter is his letter of resignation. And he says he's quitting the force, and he wants to be with his wife full-time. And she invites him in, and you assume that they're going to try to live a happier life. Now, I guess that's probably the happier of the two endings in the sense that the law prevailed. You know, the good guy won, in a sense. But it's still really hard because Leo, he really did grow on me. In the Leo version, which is the version that we actually saw, I watched the other one later online. In the Leo version, if he wins, Vincent hands him the note and dies. You see Vincent's funeral, 21 gun salute, you know, proper police burial. They fold the flag, hand it to his wife, who's now a widow with the daughter, and she's crying. At the very end, Leo's getting out of town because he's still a fugitive at this point, and he leaves the notes on Carol's door. And he can't bring himself to... He rings the doorbell and runs away. And you see Carol open the door and read the note. And you see Leo driving away. And his wife's like, "Okay, we're free. We're going to go live." And he turns around in the back seat and he sees his son in the car. And you could just see he's a beaten man. Like, you know that the price he paid for freedom it's going to haunt him forever. And that's the end of the game. That's a way out. And I really got to say, I really love the story. It's a beautiful, beautiful story, beautiful game. And not just in terms of just the feelings that I felt, but... You know, the companionship I got with Matt was really unique, especially towards the end when there was that animosity. But then at the end, you know, watching the credits just kind of in silence, like, man, I can't believe that happened, you know. That was really, really intense. So I really enjoyed that. It's a beautiful game, too, in terms of just the beauty of it. It's a beautiful, you know, the engine, the Unreal Engine, it looks amazing. It plays amazing. And it's really a lot of fun. So if you made it all the way to the end, good on you. I tried to keep it under 20 minutes. Looks like I'm going to hit that, no problem. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you appreciated this movie. As I mentioned before, please do me a favor and consider subscribing if you made it all the way to the end. I'm really trying to get back to 1,000. If not, that's okay too. Thank you guys so much for watching. Get out there and support your favorite undercover officer. How about that one? And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.